everyone. I'm Sue and I'm going to be your host for the sew along for the relaxing neck pillow, which is the pattern for which is available online, and I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. So first thing you have to do is print off the pattern, and you need 4 of these shapes joined together so they make like a bow tie. And this is what I did mine in fabric, but because it's the way I roll really. But you can do it on tissue paper or violin or whatever you feel like. The next thing you have to do is choose the fabric you're going to use, and I'm going to make 2. And the first one is out of this piece of rather gorgeously indigo dyed silk scarf. So I'm going to make one out of that, and I think I might line this with some violin to give it a bit of body, otherwise it might rip apart. And then I'm going to make one just out of a piece of fleece scrap, and this is the one I'll make first. So this one is going to be a gift, and in fact this one probably will be a gift as well, because I have got about 300 of these somewhere in my house. Okay, so go and gather your materials, get your pattern organised, and I'll meet you back here. Right, did you do your homework? Well, that's the main thing. I scrounged around and found a cushion that I've previously made. Normally they have a tie that comes out here on either side to help you put it behind your head or your back or wherever. I'm a really lazy person. I decided we didn't need the ties, but I'm going to give you some options. You can use just plain cotton tape. I've had a go at using this and trying to dye it to match the colour of my cushions. Not very successful, but it's an option, or you can leave it white. I also have found this kind of very soft cotton, almost like rope in my stash, which would be nice. It might come unravelled, I don't know. I've also got this rather gorgeous leather, I don't know if you can see, it's like a braid and it's the softest leather. The colour's a bit dull. I don't think I'll use that. Or I've got this, you know, any sort of gorgeous ribbon would do it. I've got that. Or, and this is what I'm going to do, and you'll notice that between this video and the last, I've actually changed the colour of the fleece. Don't know why. I like the pale blue better. I just sometimes just take the selvage edge, cut it into a strip. I might cover stitch it down, overlock it, zigzag it, and just a thin strip of that makes a really nice strap for either end of your pillow. So if you want to do something, and I will do this for mine today, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, now, by now you should have your 3 pieces. There's mine, as I say, no longer grey, now pale blue. At this point, if you're using plain fabric, you could actually embroider something on them if you wanted to. A bit of Alabama Channon style embroidery would be gorgeous, or just anything really. A bit of cross stitch, somebody's name on it. You could go to town. I'm sure most of you, and most of the ones I've seen in this group, have been quite heavily patterned fabrics that you've used. So if you do that, you probably wouldn't be decorating. I'm a very plain fabric sort of a girl, so that's why I'm using this, and I'm not going to decorate it today, although I was a bit tempted, but I won't. So I've got my 3 pieces, and I'm now just going to start constructing them. You can do this at the machine, but I'm just going to do it on the table first to show you. So all you do is you take two of your pieces, right sides together, and you can just pin halfway round the first two pieces. So, and I have to be honest, if I'm making these on my own in the privacy of my own sweatshop, I probably wouldn't pin them, but hell. So, pinned halfway, and so I can actually open it out and it'll look like that. And then I simply get the third piece and I pin it to one of the first two pieces. So I will have three pieces all together. Let me just quickly do this. While I'm doing it, I have to apologise for my voice. I'm actually suffering from swine flu, believe it or not. And I sound as though I smoke 300 cigarettes a day. Please note that I don't. Okay, so it sort of looks a bit like that. And then if you're going to put the tapes in, they sit in here. So I will go and prepare my tape and come back and we'll sew. Okay, and I have just reverse cover stitched this because I could. Unfortunately, because I changed the colour of my fleece, I had to rethread the cover stitch, so this took much longer than I had planned. But I have now two ties. They're going to be a bit shorter than they perhaps should be, but I figure, you know, that's going to be long enough for a tie out the end. So I'm just going to snip these in half and put them into my pillow. And they're quite thick, so instead of overlapping them at the edges, which is what you would normally do, I'm just going to lay them side by side. Let me just see if I can tilt this camera a little bit. And I'm going to just put them in here. Sorry, I'm going to fiddle. I have to edit this out. Right. I'm going to put them in here and then I can just pin over the top of them. I need fatter pins. Never have any fat pins when I need them. Okay, and there. So when I turn this inside out, I will have a loop. I can then keep sewing around here, and again I'll pin it, even though I'm not saying you have to, and I certainly wouldn't under normal circumstances. Let's go around to the other side, whack in my tie, and I don't think it really matters which way I do it. And there it is. Just pin it in there. And then I can go to the sewing machine and sew it all up, and we're nearly done. And you might wonder why I'm doing a video, and it's because when Judy asked me to do a tutorial on this, I thought, well, crikey, most of you have already made these, and those who haven't, the tutorial on the original website's actually pretty good, so I have to add some value here. So I thought, well, a little video might be good for those of you who learn better that way or like video instruction, but also if you're really good, I might take you on a tour of my sewing space and, even better, my stash at the end. So we'll just see how we go. I am going to take this to the machine now and sew it up. So here I am at the machine. I don't know if this bit's going to work out at all, but I sew mine with a 1 centimetre or a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm using my old Bernina, which I love dearly because I just love that noise it makes, and I'm just going to sew round nearly the whole thing, but leave some room for, of course, to get the stuffing in. So I'm just going to sew around here, and I can see already my pinning has been a bit inaccurate. But the thing about these pillows is they're actually very forgiving. So, you know, if you make a bit of a mistake, trust me, nobody's going to notice. And everybody you give them to is going to be absolutely thrilled with the pillow. So there is my first bit done. I'm sure there's a way that you can do all 3 sides at once. I haven't actually worked it out. So that's one side. I'm going to do the second side. And this happens to me every single time I use this machine. I manage to lose the thread out of the needle. Sorry, this will be more video editing if I can be bothered. I was also thinking, as I was thinking about this video, you know, all those craftsy ladies, they always have beautiful manicures, don't they? So I apologise, I've been gardening and goodness knows what. No gorgeous manicure from me. Sorry, I hope you don't catch my flu. Right, just rock it round. Until I just sewed over a pin, not very good. Never mind. Okay, and the last little bit always seems to be a lot further to go than you think. All right, so, and sometimes I have to just go back and fill in a few little spaces at those edges where the tape is. Now, yep. So I have done a couple of sides, a bit more, and I really have just one side to go now. So this is the side that I'll this is the side that I will leave the gap in, and then we'll talk stuffing. I try to leave the gap on a straight stretch because that's much easier to sew up than around a curve. So, and I don't leave a massive gap for the to get the stuffing through. And if I struggle to get my stuffing in there, I just use a knitting needle or something. So. Now, it just occurred to me while I was doing this that if I was doing this out of a woven fabric, I would have stopped at the end of each section and pressed it open, because it sort of is much easier. I've, of course, in my haste, have now got to the point where I've sewn the whole thing together, and now I'm going to press it, and it's not going to be nearly as easy, but I just thought if I press at each step, then I'm going to just be up and down. So, all right, over to the iron. Okay, I don't know why I'm demonstrating the ironing, but I will, just to show that I do, in fact, press the things I make. Now, I've got curves, and you might like to clip those curves or use pinking shears to sort of put in a natural clip around the curved edges. I actually don't bother because I'm a really lazy sewer. So now I'm just going to look, and there's one handle. It's always a bit nerve-wracking because I have been, okay, so that's easy. I'm going to leave this into the video because this could happen to you. And all you need to do is not get upset with yourself. You have to just unpick that tiny little bit there and slip it back in. So I'll do that now. Okay, I now have two fairly even ties. So I'm just now going to open this all out and give it a bit of a press. As I say, it would have been easier if you do it at each, after you finished each part of the seam. But to be honest, you know, these things are fairly forgiving, and you're going to stuff it anyway. So if you're really lazy or you can't be bothered heating up your iron, I wouldn't beat yourself up over it at all. It'll still be lovely, I'm sure. If you use a woven that's likely to fray a lot, I would also overlock or serge the edges on the inside, because it will just add a bit of strength to your pillow. These do get a fair bit of a workout, I've noticed. Okay, so here's my my open edge, and I'm just going to press it so that when it's stuffed, it's all ready for me to just very carefully stitch invisibly, stitch down. Okay, I'm just going to keep coming around. Managed to pick up lots of stray threads in there. So I just try to get my corners, rounded corners, as best I can. Get my edges as good as I can get them without stressing overly. This is supposed to be a fun make, not something you're going to get stressed over. And there it is. I have a, can you see? I have a nice pillow. So, next step is stuffing. Let me take you back over here where I can see you. You can see me or something. You can stuff this with anything. I know people who've cut up old pillows, a bit of fiberfill that you can buy at the big box store. I use recycled PET bottles because I have 10 kilos of it. So I have a complete stash of stuffing, and I'm always glad to use a bit more. As to the degree of stuffage, if there is such a word, you need to think about the person that you're making this for, and do they want a really firm one or a not so firm one? And so you can stuff them quite hard or make them so they're quite soft. And if you're putting it around your neck, if you want to sort of bring it around, then you won't want as much stuffing. If you want it so that it's sort of just there as a support, you might need more stuffing. I do know people who have them behind their back, and again, the degree of stuffing is actually quite important. So it's a bit of a, you have to hazard a bit of a guess as to how you're going to stuff it. So I will go and get my stuffing. I might even take you down there to see where I keep my stuffing, and we'll stuff. Okay. So I've decanted some of my stuffing into a bag. It's more comfortable to do the stuffing here. And really all I do now is I stuff it in, going into the corners first. Be aware that it's actually really easy to make your pillow a bit lumpy. So I work quite hard on keeping the whole thing fairly smooth, particularly in those pointy corners. If you've got a teddy bear stuffing prongy tool thing, that would be really good to use, I would have thought. If I get desperate, I get the knitting needle out, but I've left myself a big enough hole for my whole arm, so I figure I can just stuff with impunity. And again, at some point, I'll start to think about how firm or floppy I want my pillow to be. I can also use the stuffing to shape it a little bit. I have a tendency to try and stuff the whole thing in one hit, so I have to curb that. So I can see here I've got a kind of a bit of an area that's not stuffed, so I just go back in and push some of the stuffing into it. So those corners are the most important part. And it takes a surprising amount of work to get a pillow stuffed nicely. I can just see now, I've just got to, and it takes a surprising amount of stuffing actually. I didn't think I'd use all of that, and I've used the whole lot, and I think I might have to go back for some more. But there's my pillow, pretty much stuffed, and it's looking quite good. And no, I think actually, no, I need a little bit more there, so I'll go and get that, and then we're ready to sew up. And gosh, we've made a whole pillow in about, what, 3 minutes? Okay, now we're going to just sew up the opening. I've put a little bit more stuffing in, and once the thing is sewn together, I can kind of massage the stuffing to be where I want it to be. I have stuffed this one quite hard, maybe harder than I would normally stuff, but anyway, I'm going to just see how I go. So I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see me do this, but I'm just going to try and pick up the edge, which was a pressed edge, but of course I've now lost the pressed edge. And I do as small a stitch as I can, almost just a catch stitch to sew up the edges. And I'm sure that most of you are completely expert at this and actually don't need to stand and watch me do it. But anyway, I'm going to inflict myself on you. And perhaps have a bit of a chat about these. I've taken them on flights. They're fantastic in aeroplanes, these pillows. They're also wonderful in the car. So we do a long trip a couple of times a month to our, we've got a place in the bush, and it's a 3-hour trip one way. And I keep a couple of these in the car, one so that if whoever is the passenger wants to have a quick sleep, these are just really marvellous for putting behind your head. And because I'm a bit short, so I always find my head falls in that gap between the headrest and the back of the seat. So it's having one of these in there just sort of saves my neck quite a lot. Also, really good for the driver to put behind their back if you need a bit of extra lumbar support. I always have one in my bedroom, so I can sit up in bed and read, and I feel really comfortable with one of these. They almost also make really good lap pillows to rest your book on if you like to read like that. You can, I've given them to people with a little carabiner in here so that when they travel, they can kind of wrap them around the strap of their backpack and secure them because they're quite bulky to pack into a bag, but they're really good to just have hanging off the handle. Okay, so you can see I have sewn up my opening. It probably doesn't bear too close inspection, but it's not too bad, not too shabby. I'm sure yours will be much better. So, have you made one? Have you made two? Well, I've been raving on. I actually really like this. I think I'm going to give it away for Christmas. Yes, I'm happy with my first one here, and I might start on the silk one now, but I think I've probably finished my tutorial. It wasn't very difficult, was it?